I was going to say, I thought you just left and did that scene from Cocktail where Tom Cruise is just in his socks and you were sliding around your house. Just,
Oh, and I was with sunglasses.
Yeah, exactly. You were just enjoying the house being empty with the kids or Trudy. I just figured you took a moment. But anyway.
Perfect cold open.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of everyone's favorite podcast, the Critical Locate Podcast. I'm your co-host Nick.
And I'm Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Hello,
Dave.
Nick. Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Do you want to be the very worst? The worst there ever was?
Is this some sort of like weird Pokemon aspect that you've swapped on its head?
Yes,
I
to tame them is your real task.
Worst. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
No, to tame them is your real task. To blame them is your cause.
I do. I think.
You
do I? Do I? I don't know. I'm gonna say yes.
You want to travel across the regions.
This is an amazing start. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. How are you not subscribed already? I don't know. Okay.
Searching far and long.
Keep going. Keep going.
No, I'm not gonna keep going. Okay. Can you guess which theme song I'm singing?
That was definitely the Pokemon theme song, right?
It was a rip-off of the Pokemon theme song, which has a nice big chunk of what we're talking about today.
Yes, no doubt. So,
gents.
Yeah, I'm about to say, tell him what we are. No, tell him what we are talking about.
I don't want to tell him. I might break my microphone.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a game that we've been somewhat dreading. You've been dreading only because of the first one?
For sure, definitely.
Our very first game, ladies and gents, was Digimon World, PlayStation 1.
That's right, fond memories.
Yeah, and it was our very first game, and it was our very first F. So it wasn't the greatest, start of the channel, of the podcast, sorry. And then, today's game, or last week's game, was Digimon World 3. Now, we were wondering, can it be better, or any worse, than the original? And, I don't know, what did you think? Was it worse? Was it better?
I don't. There's a lot of things they changed.
They did a lot.
There's a lot of things that. Let me try this. This was definitely them looking over at their friend's homework.
Yes, exactly right.
Their best friend, Game Freak.
But there's always been that competitiveness, isn't there? Digimon and Pokemon have always been like two sides, same coin.
Yeah, but this game is Digimon going, maybe they've got a point.
Yes, this is where they went.
Maybe they figured it out.
They went full Pokemon recipe, added with some Digimon ingredients, right? It's
once you start this game, not even 10 minutes in, you are thinking, wow, this is this is looking a lot like Pokemon.
Yeah, but like you say, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because the first one, and I'm presuming two, did okay but not great. And like you said, they're watching their competitors just raking in the money doing these rock, paper, scissor Pokemon games. And so, yeah, I don't really blame them going, let's try that formula.
Yeah, that was the other thing. If you're in their shoes and you're seeing, their monster game is very similar to ours, but they're making 100 times the money.
Oh yes,
I'd also come to a point where I'd say, you know what, let's just do what they're doing.
Yeah, you would. And so like I said, ladies and gents, this is Digimon World 3. It was made by. I noticed it was a different developer this time, which is a bit different.
Who made it?
BEC. Now I don't know. Have you ever heard of it? Or publisher. It is mainly Bandai still, but then it was published under BEC, which did the Dragon Ball Z games for like the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 kind of era. They also did the Mobile Suit Gundam games, which I know are relatively a niche type game, and the Super Robot Wars games, which you probably don't know because they're kind of an Asian market thing, but they are very popular in Asia and stuff. So it's actually quite a big company now.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So they've got some sort of pedigree.
Yes, especially now, like they're actually quite big. So Digimon 3 or Digimon World 3 and all the other little games, they've built upon themselves using those IPs, and they're relatively well known for them now.
Mm-hmm. And Digimon World is also quite. It seems like it's quite based on a Japanese sort of.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to say demographic, but it's definitely inspired by that sort of society
100%.
and community.
It is. It's like if you can't even compare like the West to the East in regards to Digimon and stuff like that. It's huge there compared to here. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I know that. But in Japan and Asia and some other Asian countries, it's massive. It's as big as Pokemon to some degree. That's why the games are still being made. There's I think Digimon Next Order is coming out on the Switch in the next few weeks. So Digimon is still kind of big for an IP.
So there's a new Digimon World game coming now.
Yeah, it's a port of the PlayStation 4 version, but it is, and they only just finished Digimon Survive, which was out I don't know a few months ago. It was kind of a visual novel with turn-based kind of like tactics. Okay,
so the Digimon scene is alive and well.
It is, and they got
that's good to hear.
A TCG as well, I believe, a card game like alongside Pokemon and all that.
Did you ever play the card game?
No, I'm afraid not. You played the card game?
I did play the card game. I had a full-on deck for the Digimon card game in what was it, primary school or middle school?
That's so random. Like
that's
really so random. It's cool. It's cool, but that is so random. I did not expect you secretly had this like little like a side shame of that. Actually, I did. I had a Digimon deck as a kid.
It was a case of I just turned, I don't know, what was it, 10 or 11, and I was getting into nerdy things.
Yeah,
and
no,
not
of course.
Just
I've been
child things anymore. And my parents, the supportive parents being that they thought, okay, well, let's go to Toys R Us and let's go find some 11-year-old nerdy shit.
And it wasn't Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, it was Digimon.
It was this Digimon TCG starter set.
That's cool.
I know.
That's cool.
Me being 11, I thought, oh wow, look, there's a orange dinosaur on front.
Yeah, Greymon. See, I remember my names. I watched the anime years ago.
I think it was Agumon. I can't even remember.
Agumon's the small one. He goes into a Greymon. And then some other versions of Greymon that I can't remember all the names of.
I got this card, the starter set, and it had the playmat, two playmats. Cool. It had decks. It had a lot of things. And I was thinking, wow, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
I am in love with it.
Yeah, exactly. I would have been
a couple of weeks later, I traded that entire set for some dinosaur books.
To be 12 again, the logic and everything else. I love it. Just the logic of going, this is so cool, but that thing over there looks cooler. I wonder if I could just swap.
And just this reminds me of Playground Economy.
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly it.
I'm remembering it now. That was just so juvenile. Good memories. But it's I played the Digimon card game quite a bit at school.
You probably kick yourself now because I bet you those cards you had are probably worth a fortune now.
Oh yeah,
the whole definitely. Card scene's like blown up, hasn't it? I don't know if Digimon's as big as others, but I bet you they're probably worth quite a lot.
Definitely bigger than they were. I'm assuming.
Bet more expensive than those dinosaur books you probably traded them for, unfortunately.
So that's why I was so taken aback when I saw that a nice chunk of this game that we played, Digimon World 3, had the card game baked into it.
That's true. I was shocked by that too.
This.
Yeah, that was a weird. Like, I don't know. You played Final Fantasy games to some degree, right? Final Fantasy games often have a coinciding card game.
Is it Final Fantasy X that had the infamously difficult and convoluted one?
No, Final Fantasy X had Blitzball, which is like a football-esque. Final Fantasy VIII had Triple Triad, which was actually quite cool.
I think that's the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah, they've always coincided with a weird card game to go with it. And it was very strange to see Digimon 3. And you're right, it had the full-blown... Like, you could play Digimon, but you could also play the card game within it. And that was kind of cool. I'll give them that.
Yeah. We could. Does that fit into narrative or gameplay?
I'd probably say gameplay because narratively
Okay.
it didn't really add much. I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. I didn't really play it much. I was just more shocked that it was in there. Anyway, should we jump into narrative?
Let's do it.
Because I see that you and I gave 2 different scores to narrative here.
Oh, I haven't even seen your score, but let's talk about it.
Yeah, I say. Now, narrative. Now you remember I'm a otaku. Except for sadly, I looked up the
Mm-hmm.
definition of otaku earlier, and it said a young person that likes pop culture and Japanese.
Oh
And
no!
So I felt, I'm an old taku, I suppose would be. But anyway, I'm into these type of
An old
things. Right?
taku?
I'm an old taku.
Brilliant.
And I'm into these things. Out of curious, let me go for it. What did you think of?
peak comedy, Dave?
I know, right? Wasn't that just a beautiful segue? Narratively, what did you think? And then I'll give you my view, because they're quite 2 different scores going. What did you think?
I think this was much better than what Digimon World had going for it. I was just thinking that the narrative for this game is the reason I scored it lower was because it was just so absent.
It was slow. I'll give you that.
Was it slow? Is that the
Oh,
word?
it was
Okay.
slow.
Okay, because I'm thinking it wasn't slow, it was absent.
I'll tell you. Like I said, in a minute, I'll give a bit of spoilers ahead, ladies and gents, but
Right.
I'll give you slight
Again, no one's
definition.
gonna care for
of how-
Digimon World 3 spoilers.
That's true. But I'll tell you how. This is why I enjoyed it, because I am an old taku, and I'll tell you how mental it gets later. But yeah, I thought you were going to say it's a bit slow and it's a bit generic, right? Young boy starts off with a team and then slowly progress in a bland storyline, right?
Yeah, and he wants to be the very best, and he
Of
wants
course.
to catch them all.
That's
It
right.
sounds quite familiar.
Yes. No, you're right. But like I said, I cannot believe where this story goes.
Okay, I am sitting down. Please enlighten us all.
Okay. Like I've only done. You gotta forgive me. A narrative. I've only done little bullet points, so it's not everything.
Right.
So I
That's
very
fine.
much people are intrigued. Keep playing it. Right.
That's fine.
So-
Hit me.
You start off, little boy. You start off in the online world, and then all of a sudden you can't log out. You got that. You got that aspect, right? Like any.
Oh, what is that? I played 4 hours, and I never got to that first bullet point you just got to.
Yeah, it's like which in an anime thing, like an isekai. You've heard of Sword Art Online and stuff like
Of
that, right?
course.
The standard premise: you log in and can't log out. It's kind of a cliche
If you die
now.
in the game, you die for real.
Yeah, exactly, that type of thing. So they tell you that you can't log out, but everybody's like, oh, that's fine, the servers will fix it, we're fine, we'll just keep playing the game.
Yeah.
Right, which is fair enough. And then, so you go in, and then there's some bad guys, and you beat up some bad guys, and then, let me just tell you what I wrote down here. You beat some bad guys, and then Kurt, a friend of yours, or a guy you meet, gets turned into a pig Digimon called Oikmon. Right? And then...
Did you say Oinkmon?
Oinkmon! Yes, that's exactly right. Just to rub it in case you didn't know it was a pig. And then I love the names, because the names of this get nice and then slowly turn into like an Iron Maiden cover. Because Juggernaut evolves into Destroymon, right? Who wants to who manifests in the real world, putting Earth in danger now. So
Whoa!
now you're 10 or whatever. You're 10, 12. I don't know how old you are. And now that's happening, and you think that would be it. You'd think Earth being in danger by a Digimon called Destroymon. You'd think that'd be it, but no. You kind of overt that, and then everybody in the cyberspace gets turned into pigs. Everybody
What?
except for you and your friend. Everybody else gets turned into Oikmon. Which, if anybody
What?
knows Willow, the movie, I saw there was a weird reference in there, but that's something else. Okay, then, the next Digimon you've got to take on is called Lord Megadeth. Like some Iron Maiden cover, I can just picture them there. But before you get to him, you've got to take on Armageddon, who's his henchman.
Whoa!
no,
Okay,
It gets mentaler.
It can't. No.
It does. So after you defeat Megadeth, or Lord Megadeth, sorry, he's knighted in some way, you don't stop him from releasing a Digimon called Snatchmon, which, okay, doesn't sound that dangerous, Snatchmon. It sounds like, oh, finally, things have tapered off. But no, Snatchmon merges with a military satellite to become Galactamon.
Whoa!
Right? And then, here's the pièce de résistance.
Oh,
Galactamon wants to merge with the entire planet Earth to become Gaiamon. And you're the 10-year-old who's put in the task to stop all this. That's almost normal anime fare, but that was the story in Digimon World 3.
I'm speechless.
you should be.
I don't know what to say. This is definitely not absent.
Yeah, I was like, what? What? Only in like a Japanese storyline do they have to one-up themselves to such a degree that Earth was almost absorbed by a Digimon, and you were the front line. You were the only person who could stop it. You know. I guess that's where they were one-upping Pokemon a bit. Pokemon, you had a few things. Granted, Pokemon had like gods of Pokemon and stopping of time and stuff, but no, Digimon. Somebody was going to merge with Earth.
God, whoa.
I know.
And turn the entire place into a wink, wink, nudge, nudge Digimon World.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they combined the blowing up of Earth of Dragon Ball Z, but with Pokemon, just to combine two well-known anime tropes. But yeah, I was blown away.
I'm genuinely taken aback by this narrative. I didn't get any of that.
Yeah, because
I didn't get any. I didn't even that first point you said you can't log out. I didn't even get to that. I played hours of this game. How? I got to the 4th region. How did I miss this?
It's because it's slow. It's just so slow. It is. It is slow. Like
okay, all right. Where? The second city, right? Seiryu City. It looks like a couple of windmills.
That's better, yeah. You always use the names. I never know what the hell the names are. But yeah.
The city's just a load of red windmills.
That's right.
Did I miss the story? Did I walk past someone that I needed to interact with? I don't get it. Or did the story start after where I left?
It could have started around there. I must admit, I read through them really quickly and go on.
Right.
I was just making sure my Digimon didn't die because they kept dying and restarting, and that really bugged me. That's gameplay. So I was reading really quickly, and don't get me wrong, I didn't go through the whole game. I was just, I had a feeling it was going to get a bit more grand. Because these games often do. It's always, like in Pokemon, you're always taking on Team Rocket, but Giovanni's the one that's actually pulling all the strings, and he's the big bad. So I figured there was a big bad here, but
yeah,
I didn't.
That's the thing. You being an old Taku and me not,
no,
you
exactly.
have a sense for.
Exactly.
There's some anime rumblings happening.
Yeah, and it really this has definitely been brushed with the cliche teenage boy / girl. Saving the entire populace of Earth from
the
super evil. Yeah, exactly. Which, let's face it, if you're 10 or 12, that's so cool because you think that might happen.
Definitely,
so I've got to brush up on my Digimon just in case that does happen. No,
and when you're at school, who can focus on schoolwork? I need to get home and save Earth.
Exactly. Huh? I know. It was cool. Granted, the child in me was quite delighted in the bizarre, extreme story this simple little Digimon game seemed to have packed in it. But like I say, that's the... But it does, sadly, like PlayStation 1 games often did, it takes such a long time to get you there. And to keep you invested. Later on we'll talk about the gameplay and the grind that these games often come associated with.
I get the feeling PlayStation games go in the radical direction of it goes in the radical direction of either a game is the slowest burn that has ever burned, like this game, or the first Digimon World, or Persona, or Revelations Persona even.
That's right. No, it is. It's right,
or it goes in the completely other direction where it's just a platformer and the fun starts the moment you press start. But
from A to Z. It's just, like I said, just continuous fun. It's one thing, I know it's a weird thing to say, going back to PlayStation 1 games, you realise how much harder gaming was compared to now. Like, like I told you when we were playing this game, when I first died from there was like a vegetable testicle that kept knocking out my team. I expected to respawn, like in Pokemon. Oh, your team got wiped out and you blacked out. I expected that to happen, but nope. Just right back to the beginning, no saves. No. So I had to restart. And I forgot. PlayStation 1 games were hard. Like, that aspect of it.
They had no remorse. I mean, I'm sure you know why, but I'm going to say it anyway for the listeners. Games came from arcade cabinets.
Yeah.
Right? Where they wanted you to fail so they can have as many of your quarters as possible.
Right. Yeah, it was. That was built into the whole premise of it.
I mean, that's changed now, but in PS1, early PS2, that was still the case. They didn't know how to balance their games.
No, that's very true. And we've said it before, but when you play all the modern games now, then you go back, you can just see it so much. You can even feel it in the gameplay. Every aspect of it is kind of there to make you trip up and fail a little bit. Just a little bit, so you're still tempted to keep going, but you can feel it's there.
Visually, I was impressed with this game. I think the direction they went with, the new stylized direction they went with this game, was much better. Right? The first Digimon World, it was fully 3D, and it looked bad. 3D just wasn't there yet.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know, I didn't write down that the age gap between these two games at all. I'm guessing it was a good few years. Digimon World 1 and 3, I'm guessing there had to be quite a few years gap between releases.
1999 and 2002, 3 years.
3 years. Oh, wow, that's actually quite a quick turnaround for taking into account there was a Digimon World 2 in there too.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's almost, again, from a nostalgia side for me, there's actually there's a charm to the rendered cities and the even the interface and stuff. There was a charm to it which was a lot more polished in this regards, but also had me going back to my childhood, because there's an aspect to it that, I don't know, just it warms your heart a bit when you're old as I am, and then you go back to something you did as a kid. No, I liked it, but you can still see the graphic restrictions the PlayStation 1 had, and some of them were quite harsh.
You can.
Yeah. Like, I found, sadly, during fights, when it focused on the Digimon during their attacks, I always found that a bit jarring, because then you could see how square every shoulder and every nose kind of was, compared to when you're zoomed out and your mind kind of filters the curved lines a little bit better. Yeah. I always, it was a hit and miss for me. I did like the charm, but I did also, sometimes they seem to emphasize the faults a little too much visually.
I totally agree with you that this game, it does, I think that's just a game of the era. I don't know. I don't think there are a lot of PS1 games that look much better. Not even the big hits of PS1 games, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII. They all look like that. You could count the polygons.
No,
what I liked about this game a lot was that they decided to go with a pixelated style.
Mm-hmm. To stick with the digi aspect of the game, right? The digital mon and the digital cities and stuff like that. Yeah.
And I can only imagine that, again, that was influenced by Pokemon at the time.
And to forget, there's the Tamagotchi thing. The whole premise
and the Tamagotchi thing. Both of those. Because at that time, I went to check. At the time this got released, 2002, it's only Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow, and the second generation, Silver, Gold, and Crystal, got released.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
those were pixelated as all hell.
Oh yeah, they very much so. Yes, they hadn't gone into like their proper stuff yet.
So I'm thinking it looks good. They did a very good job, even with the isometric view being all diagonal and all that. But I think this was just another case of them copying from Game Freak's books. Yeah,
but also another thing I wrote down here. Visually, it's kind of visually and gameplay. They actually visualize the attacks compared to Pokemon. Even your standard attack, right?
That's right. I didn't even think about that.
Your Digimon would actually go over to the other Digimon and smack them. Or
that's right.
If you were building up a fireball, your Digimon would build it up and then shoot it to the other Digimon. And that's, if you think about it, Pokemon only just started doing that a few years ago. It was always that sprites versus sprites, and then a little animation between them. Yeah.
In some attacks, in what was it, Scarlet and Violet, they didn't even do that.
No, exactly. Sometimes, some of them are just wiggles. Still, I'll give you that tail whip is literally just a tail whip, or Leah is just a look. But there's still some generic movements in the models in Pokemon now, which Digimon 3 actually wasn't doing. They actually had their Digimon get up and move, and are more animated within their animated sequences. Which
now
people
that you mention it, having 3D models, all the 3D models do these moves on a PS1.
Yeah, right.
You're right. Okay, not too bad. Well
that
done.
Is pretty crazy. It is. And people would argue there are more Pokemon, so there'd be 10 times the work to teach them have each Pokemon and then do an animation for this attack and that attack and this attack and that attack.
Yeah.
I'll give them that in the day, you're right. But now, I think it's a bit less unfair. Because if you look at all the things, how Elden Ring didn't need you to have to dance or had to high five and all the other animated things you could do. They didn't need to put that in, but they did. Because it was funny and you could communicate with other players that way, and all the other messages you could do by bowing and charging and cheering. But and the idea of not putting those in a Pokemon game where it would actually benefit the gameplay like 100%, it seems a tad, I don't know, too much of an excuse for me. But anyway, I digress. So I can go on a rant myself. Sorry.
I also liked how the backgrounds look. The environments that you would go through at the start of the game, when you're still going through the entire intro sequence. Also, goodness, what an intro sequence. Right before you press start, that whole video.
Mm-hmm. It was cool, right?
Watch that.
Yeah, it's...
Goodness.
Again, the nostalgia hits from those videos are quite strong because it's both good and, old at the same time. Nice,
cheesy, campy stuff.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Before they were cheesy and campy.
Yeah, exactly. When it was the original, the OG type versions of it. There's still something quite cool about it.
The intro sequence I wanted to talk about was the one where you're talking with your friends and you're still in the city. I can't remember what the city is called. Before you enter Digimon Online.
The first one, yeah. I know
exactly.
Yeah.
You go into the Digimon Online shop and you can see a Matrix machine. That's what they called it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's insane to me. You could see how big all the machines were. You could see the entire Digimon Online scape. And the entire setup they've got, and how big the things are. You get a sense of,
right?
Okay, wow, this is some serious stuff right here.
And it literally reminded me of the Matrix. They're calling it the Matrix machine, but those pods that Neo and stuff were in. It was really sci-fi-esque, like Blade Runner sci-fi aspect to a Digimon game.
I've got some notes on the audio of this place as well, but I could just... You read the description of this Matrix machine, right?
Potentially, remind me.
I wrote it down here that this Matrix machine that can, I'm quoting verbatim, digitize their thoughts and connect their own neural network to the internet.
That's wow.
Right?
Right? Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's the Matrix machine. They're using that machine to play Digimon.
The world is pretty developed when that's casual. That's a casual machine. That's right.
And some of them are using this to play a card game in Digimon.
Well, we laugh. In my mind, in about 10 years' time, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be this fully developed TV, 3D projected monsters and stuff like that. At least,
just
part
like
of me
in
hopes.
The show.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Goodness. It was insane to me to read that. And then they were talking about you being a tamer.
Yeah, that's right.
And playing a card. This game had so much. You
just reminded me. You know when you started up the game and it gave you 3 different choices of Digimon to select?
Sets, that's right. Yeah. A normal set, a powerful set, and a Maniacs.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. It's about time Maniacs were represented in sets. Finally, I was Blair Power, all right, balanced. Maniac, perfect.
Yes.
Finally,
literally
someone.
Me though.
That's right. Did you choose that one or not? Or were you like?
No, I wanted to choose Maniac, but then I read the description and they said, "Oh, this pack is quite difficult." And I thought, "No, this game. I know this game's difficult. I don't want to make it harder for myself."
Okay, so you went balanced, right?
No, I went powerful.
Power. Okay, fair enough. Sorry, I had to mention that. Just the idea that one was called Maniac.
It is hilarious. It really is. We got off of visuals.
Sorry.
I think I like the visuals in this game just much more than the first one.
Yes.
The pixelated art style. There's a lot of detail they put into this.
How about audio? Like I said, you're always the audio guy.
Right.
What do you
Again,
do?
this audio is better than the first game. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's not hard to be better than the first game.
No, it's very true. Like I said, you could hum, and that would be better than the first game to some degree.
Yeah.
Audio-wise. Well, the music was okay. Did you like the music?
That's what I was going to say. I've got one good point and then one iffy point.
Okay, go on. I'm intrigued.
I'll start with the iffy one. The main theme for this game, while you're outside in the overworld, exploring, fighting Digimon, the theme that's playing is very, 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 very similar to a Pokemon theme.
Yes, that's true.
It is almost uncanny how much it sounds like a Pokemon theme.
But there's one thing that's always bugged me about these games. Pokemon, epic soundtrack, not in the games.
That's right.
Digimon, epic soundtrack, but not in the games.
What do you mean?
Digimon monsters, Digimon are the champions.
Yes.
That's what we all grew up with.
That's true, and even the Pokemon, you're right. It's
exactly.
not in the game.
I get that they're different, the anime and the games, Game Freak, they're different companies, but surely, Nintendo must own the IPs somewhere, or could buy them, because there's not one person who wouldn't want to play, like, Pokemon Red, but with the anime soundtrack to it. Here we go to Cerulean City, all that, that would be cool. And the same with Digimon. If I'm fighting other Digimon, I would happily hear Digimon. I don't know.
Me too. You're 100% right. Although I do think there's some legal things.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of
when these things get involved. I think you said it when. What was it? The companies that publish the TV show and publish the games.
Yeah.
Are two different entities.
They are very much so.
Right? I don't know.
No, they are. I remember with Pokemon.
It has to be. Otherwise, they would have added the songs.
That's why Pokemon don't say their names in the games. Like Psyduck and Psy, because they don't. Game Freak doesn't own the sound effects of the Pokemon, except for Pikachu and Eevee. Strangely enough, because they're popular. Yeah, that's why no Pokemon, and they still use the sounds from the Game Boy versions on the new ones. That weird whenever you press a cry or like the digital cry of a Pokemon. Because they don't own the rights of the sound effects or the voices, I suppose, of the...
That's wild.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because I'd also love my Pokemon to speak like the anime ones. Yes. But yeah, you're right, the red tape must be pretty colossal.
If I can hear my Totodile saying, Totodile...
Yeah, exactly, right?
I would die a happy man.
Yeah, exactly. And Jigglypuff just singing me to sleep would make me very happy. Anyway, we'll digress again. Like you said, the music is almost... I think we said this about some other games. It's almost like somebody had a folder that just said anime background songs, and they just played it over the top. I found it all almost recognizable, but slightly tweaked. Like you said, like it sounded like Pokemon, but it was changed ever so slightly.
They lent Game Freak's homework, but Game Freak just said,
that's right.
Change
Just
it a bit so the
this
teacher doesn't
and
notice.
Change the handwriting a bit. Yeah, exactly. No,
right.
Exactly it. Yeah.
That was something I picked up. The other thing, the good point is for certain areas in this game, there's no music, none. All there is ambience.
Yeah. Just background or wind or
when you're in this matrix room that we were talking about earlier, you could hear computers just humming in the background.
And humming. Yeah, that's right.
And the computer noises, whatever. And what I thought was just the coolest in this big matrix pod room that you were talking about.
Yeah.
You in the far distance, you could hear these pods. Almost rearranging themselves, and you could hear big machinery.
Oh, I missed that. Like you could hear the grander design machine actually working.
Exactly,
in the background.
But it would sound far away, and I just stood there for a minute thinking, "Whoa, how big is this place?"
No, that's cool. Like I said, I missed
Right?
that. I missed that myself. But that
I
is
don't
cool.
get sound can make just a simple area feel huge.
Yeah, no,
by doing
entirely.
just that.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And it's one thing that we take for granted. Like I said, the fact that you stopped and heard that.
Yeah.
You know, I saw matrix screen pods. You know, they when they opened and stuff like that.
Yes.
You take it for granted that there's actually background noise that is there and you hear it, but you forget that somebody actually layered it and put it in and gave an echo to denote the size or the chamber echo of a chamber or something like that. You know, it is very cool stuff, which, like I said, I take for granted, but with your background, I can understand you have more of an ear for it. You know, that is cool, especially like we're talking a PlayStation 1 game and a Digimon the game at that. That is kind of cool.
People don't realize the importance of audio in video games. They don't. This was made in the PS1 era, and even now, PS4, PS5, people don't realize how important it is for audio design or sound engineering. It's not just cool music that'll get you invested.
Or voiceover,
I said the same,
right? Yeah.
Right. I said the same thing in our Revelations Persona review.
Mm-hmm.
When we walked through that hospital after it's been dysmorphed.
That's right. Yes, I remember.
Yeah. I picked up that you could hear. We could hear screams.
That's
through the
right.
walls.
Screams through the walls and the doors that you walked past. Right. Yes, I remember.
And if you just think about it for a tad longer, we didn't see anyone on our way out of that hospital. Meaning the screams came from inside the walls.
Yeah, or locked behind the doors, as in they couldn't
Exactly.
get out.
There are
That's
people
right.
stuck in that hospital. Audio design lent a certain disturbance to that entire sequence.
Entirely.
And it's the same. It's the same for this Matrix chamber room. It's wild how much audio can do.
Yeah, it's people always praise things like Dead Space for lack of audio or the absence of audio and the occasional book falling over. You know, the normal the cliches.
That's right.
But you do miss out on the, like I was saying earlier, the ambient noises that you'd notice if they weren't there. But because they're there, you kind of skip past them because, you know, of course you'd hear a fan noise or you'd hear a computer noise or the birds outside. Yeah. But you forget that took lots of time, it's a lot of effort. And like you said, they made a point to make it audio-wise to know that building was massive, that this was a multi-corporate pod for which loads of people use on a daily basis. And, you know, it's a cog of the machine, so to speak.
It's insane. People need to realize what audio can do.
No, I agree entirely. Okay, should we jump straight into gameplay then?
Let's do that. Gameplay.
Okay.
Gameplay. It's a big part of this game. Gameplay. Yeah. I played 4 hours and I didn't touch the story.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things where I was trying to really be positive about the gameplay more, but again. And sadly, maybe I don't know if I'm getting old or something. It got so boring. You know,
right.
at the beginning, I liked the animations of jumping over to the other Digimon and attacking and the animation of every attack. But after you've watched it, say, 10, 15 times, and a single Digimon fight can last about, say, 3 minutes, you know, back and forwards, a bit of healing, a bit of swapping out.
All the animations, all the button presses, it just takes so long.
So long. And you're like, I get it, and maybe we're just spoiled now, and maybe there's an aspect of that to it. But that's what I figure is how you didn't go through the story so much, because I know that every time you randomly encountered a Digimon, it took about 3 minutes. So if you encountered 10, that's half an hour gone. And you were just trying to get to the next area. So even though you just did 4 hours, that could have been mainly just Digimon fights.
This is a load of time. This is one of those perfect games for a kid 20 years ago who only got one game on their birthday.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and that is it.
There is that aspect to those, like we were saying, the aspect to the games back then. They were like that. And so I wouldn't say it was a good thing, but you just let it go because you were more engrossed that you had this game to play for the next 3 or 4 months than you did.
Yes.
You didn't have a backlog. You know, we all moan that we've got these backlog games on Steam and you bought this and got this and you haven't completed that. We didn't really have that back then.
No.
You got the game and then you just played it and it didn't matter if it took or was slow. Now, granted, I guess, like I said, we're just pointing out we're kind of spoilt now to some degree.
We definitely are.
But even there was aspects, and this animation is really slow. like I'm trying to think, was it just me? But some of the animations trying to be cool and like really grand to show off the badass moves, they really took their time to do it.
It just takes a very long time.
And I'm trying to be nice because you got to take into account that is the meat and bones of this game, and it's slow. And so when you're a few hours in and everything takes so much time, it's very hard to concentrate and be engrossed in what's going on.
It took a while after the entire intro sequence to get out into the overworld and start fighting Digimon with your Digimon. There are a lot of games that take a while to open up, so I don't mind that. But the minute to minute, the gameplay loop for this game, it does just take so long. It gets boring really quickly. Really quickly.
No, it does. That's its biggest fault in gameplay for me. It just takes too long. Like, and I know we're adults and stuff, and kids probably would have a greater attention span to it because it's so much cooler and kiddie and stuff like that. But for me, I just couldn't get, even loading screens. I know it's not really a gameplay thing. The loading screens were quite slow. Now, I know that's a PlayStation 1 thing, and it was quite a common aspect. And I know, yet again, I'm being spoiled because we don't really have many loading screens anymore. But this game was a grind, but not in the normal Pokemon-esque grind way. It was just a grind to play. That was hard.
Each time a loading screen would appear, I'd know the loading screen is only half of the time I'm going to have to wait. Once the loading screen's finished, then they introduce the area. They say, it's Asuka City, and then that title card stays on screen.
Yeah, exactly. You might as well go
for a further 5 seconds. Okay, it's Asuka City. Can I start traversing now?
Yeah, no, it's like I said, I don't know if we're being mean because of the era of game, but we're reviewing it as it is now.
So.
And
I guess so. And we shouldn't be so mean.
No, but you've got to add a bit of that into the reviews because, we're spoiled. Okay, we are spoiled, but we're talking about should you go and play this and pick it up now, kind of compared to what we have now, but in the PlayStation 1 game space. Like, it didn't age well. I think that's the point.
No, definitely not.
There are PlayStation 1 games that actually have. And you can pick up now, and you'd actually enjoy now, alongside playing Last of Us and God of War, as long as you're okay with the older style graphics and kind of control scheme and stuff. They are actually still playable and enjoyable. This just isn't one of those games.
The last thing I want to say about gameplay on my end is how frequently I got one shot.
Yeah, I know, it's true.
By supposedly wild Digimon.
Like, all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
I could not. I don't understand. I still don't understand how.
And sometimes
I thought I got the power. I got the powerful pack. The powerful pack.
That's true.
I had a Monmon, an Agumon, and a Renomon or something.
The fox thing, right?
Yes, the fox thing.
That's right.
If one of them fainted, the other one would go in and would just immediately get hit with an attack.
Right. And it wasn't always the special attacks. It was sometimes just the standard attack.
Exactly.
Just
a normal attack.
That's right. And it would just, it would knock life off like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. If I was a level 1 and the enemy wild Digimon was a level 2, I would get one shot.
Yeah.
Just one attack
that's true.
Mine would be dead.
These
Not
games
fainted,
are brutal.
dead.
And another weird detachment I got, later on you got to level up your Digimon as you would, and it's very surreal to pick up equipment that's a knuckle duster and then give it to a Digimon that's got a rocket launcher. It's like, come on, that doesn't work. Sometimes it's equipment and the Digimon don't have hands. It's a dolphin. It's a Dolphinamon or a slug.
Dolphin. Here's a dagger.
Yeah, it's a really weird. You could have just called it Power Up A, and that would have been fine. But it's genuinely like Police Baton or Knuckle Duster, and you're like, okay, was this the weapons pack from Streets of Rage that they just moved in? They used the wrong one, or something like that. It was strange when you've got Digimon with nukes on their shoulders, but you're giving them a taser just to boost that increase in attack power.
It's weird.
It's
strange.
But
I could definitely feel I would. It's weird. I'd get money that I'd oftentimes call gil.
Yeah,
and
same
I'd go buy equipment in the shop.
Yeah.
And I'd equip them. And I was thinking, whoa, this is feeling less like Pokemon and more like Final Fantasy.
Yes, that's right. The equipment itself is very Final Fantasy-esque.
Right?
You know, you're making them wear bulletproof vests. And like, like what? Like, that can't be normal. You know, I've got this massive dinosaur, and there's this generic bulletproof vest for them for some reason.
Here you go.
I don't know, it's kind of yeah, exactly. It's kind of the charm of like 90s games, but just seems bizarre now. But yeah, that was very odd. But I don't know, it helped making your Pokemon stronger or more defense. You know, it was worth it in the long run. Did you hit any performance issues? Unless you got more gameplay.
No, I did not. No more gameplay. For performance, I don't know if this is normal. I've got these weird bars around my intro video. That's a tiny nitpick. Besides that, the loading screens and the title cards, it just took so long. Yeah, everything takes so long.
I've literally written down loading screens and like the difficulty curve, but we've already kind of already touched on that. The loading times are just so long, and like you said, you can go out with your fully fleshed out, fully healed, ready to go Pokemon, and if you're just unlucky, a vegetable thing, and it happened to be a couple, will just kick your ass. Just instantly.
A Vegemon. He would just block your first attack.
Yeah, right. And then
punch you to the moon.
Yeah,
he did. Not even the first one. All of your Digimon.
Yes, that's right. Every single one, even the ones you swapped out that are all fresh and ready to fight, just got owned.
They did not know how to balance this game.
No, it's the era, I'm guessing. But that's not really performance. If you did it properly and really slowly, you could go out there and you could take on one battle, then heal everyone up, and then take on one more battle and heal everyone up, and then take on one. But that, again, that's 2 hours later, and your Digimon's gone from level 5 to 7.
I'm guessing the performance aspect of this is just how slow everything is. That's slow. The animations, the choosing of actions.
That's the biggest
loading
problem.
Screens. So slow.
Which is strange because Digimon DS, when it comes over to the Digimon World DS, I think it's called, when it comes onto the Nintendo DS, they actually fix all these things. So that's
really?
Yeah, it's a lot. It is still Pokemon-y, there's no doubt, but it's a lot more faster paced, better version of kind of this game, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But then, of course, it's a few generations ahead, so it makes sense. But anyway, I digress. And the price point. Did you find this game even anywhere at a reasonable price point? No. like I was looking... it kind of makes sense. I'm not expecting it to be $10 on, I don't know, Nintendo or something like that, because they kind of dropped these things. So a second-hand copy, the cheapest second-hand copy of this game I could find was $50.
Oh...
Which I get is the collectible. It's the Digimon fans.
That is it. It is collectible at this point. It's a PlayStation 1 game. It's collectible.
Yeah. And I kind of, like I said, I like collecting and doing little things here, so I kind of get it. But $50, damn, that's, you know. I guess maybe it was low print run again. I really don't know much about the Digimon games back in the day. But yeah, $50 is the cheapest I could get it for a second-hand version. Phew. I can only imagine what a first, like a sealed one costs.
Okay, so that's what they cost now after they've turned into a collector's item. I think then if you were to buy this for a 10-year-old Nick who maybe had a PS1 instead of a Digimon card game starter.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think they'd be happy. I think they'd be sorted for just a load of months with
I think you're right.
Game. There's a lot of game here.
And that would have been, like, back in the day, $25, $30. So,
yeah.
And I agree. I think the 12-year-old versions of ourselves would be telling us off because the game's awesome. Because you would have been invested. And you would have taken that time. And you would have squeezed in 2 hours a day between food and playing and friends.
You would have.
And you'd have enjoyed it.
Exactly, that's it. You would have enjoyed it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right. And I'm also thinking now, there's not only do you have the standard Digimon game in this, if you're getting bored of that gameplay loop, just play the card game in the game.
Out of curiosity, was it the same as the card game you remembered? Sorry, I was going to ask that earlier.
I don't know. Two things. I can't remember the card game. I played it.
Fair enough.
and I didn't play the card game in this game.
Oh, okay. And I was just wondering. Like I said, I have never played the Digimon game, so I didn't know if it was the same or not. It was confusing in this game. I'll give you that.
That's it. That entire intro sequence.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I have 12 HP and 17
Yeah, I was
AP.
confused.
I attack in this position, jumping over whatever.
Yeah, that's right. It was weird.
And after reading a couple of numbers, the one guy just said, "Oh, that means you win." What?
What? That's right.
What just happened?
Okay. I'm sure there was logic there somewhere, but it was lost on me, to say the least.
Me too.
Anyway, what did we give this score? The game.
Digimon World 3. I feel like I'm bullying these Digimon World games.
Yeah, I know. You do feel bad. You do. I know. I had that same feeling.
It's because there is a ton of games. I know Digimon World has a rabid fan base. It's doing good for itself.
It is, I believe.
But I mean, come on.
Well, it's getting better. It is getting better. It's getting better.
You're right. That's the thing. It is getting better slowly, but surely.
Yeah, slowly being like the emphasis of the entire episode. Everything about this seems to be slow, as well as it's
up
great.
To a point where I think now, with how Game Freak is lagging in the quality of their games, and Digimon World is, I mean, the quality I'm not so sure about, but the quantity. Apparently, there's just a ton of Digimon games.
Yeah, I think you're right. I know there's Digimon games that kind of have the brawl, brawl aspect to them. Platforms where you just jump around shooting people and falling off and stuff like that. I think they're called
for
Rumble.
the Game Boy Advance.
There was something called Digimon Rumble. I think it was in the Advance, the PlayStations. There was also a race car, like a Mario Kart version of Digimon games. I don't know what that was.
How long until people realize Digimon might take Pokemon, take them past?
Ooh.
Do you think that might happen?
It depends on your definition. Game-wise, possibly. As a company, not a chance.
Okay, yes, you're right. As a company, not a chance.
Yeah, I know
Pokemon,
Pokemon is like the third or fourth highest turning over revenue company in Japan.
It's the highest grossing worldwide.
Is it grossing worldwide? I can't remember.
It is.
Up
Second,
there.
I think, is Hello Kitty.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally a country in its own right, for the Pokemon. It's got enough money and people under it,
But
I agree, quality-wise.
Quality of game,
I agree.
I don't know. Digimon might stand a real chance.
Yeah, if they up their game and Game Freak and Pokemon keep letting quality slip on theirs, you're not wrong. The space, there is space there now.
So we we got our scores for Digimon World 3. We let them log into a game without letting them log off. And after saving the Earth from a global threat. What did you call him? Gaiamon.
Gaiamon, yes, that was the very last one. He was going to absorb the Earth.
They came home just in time for their 11th birthday. we scored it Digimon World 3, a letter grade rating of D.
Which is, remember the Digimon World 1 got an F. So this is good.
Hard F. If we could give it an F-, we would.
We would very much so. So it's doing better. It's like
this is progress.
Your report card from school, wrote down, he's trying harder this year, and we look for better results next year. That's what Digimon is doing in regards to their games as we review them. They are slowly getting better.
Right? And if you think about it, those games were only 3 years apart.
Yeah, right? And I swear that's a quick turnaround for a PlayStation 1 game. Because it wasn't the same, technology we have today. So yeah, it's getting better. It is a D game, and it is aimed for younger people than we are. Yeah. So it isn't that bad. And the story is mental.
I would not recommend anyone pick this up or play it. Then you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
So I do think this is a D game. This is what My Time at Porsche.
Yeah.
Do you have any other?
I'm looking now. No, that was it. Everything else plus or minus. This is the second
Hard
D.
Yeah. Standard D. Okay.
Which is cool. Nice. Yeah, it's worth that. It's like I said, I'm kind of semi looking forward to the other Digimon games now. The newer ones.
Was there Digimon World 4, or did they start making new names after this one?
I don't know. I feel like there could have been a 4, and then it jumped to DS, but I might be wrong.
I think so too. Anyway, right, we'll check them out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Critical Arcade Podcast. You can check us out wherever you find your podcast, and if you'd be so kind, you could leave us a review. We'd really appreciate that. You can find us on all our social media channels, on Facebook, on Instagram. Please go check out our Instagram. That's going to pop off just check out our Instagram. It's going to be real good.
It's
and you can find us on email. You can catch me at nick@criticalarcade.com.
And I'm Dave at criticalarcade.com.
That's right. But besides for email, Dave, where else can we follow you?
Well, like I said, you could try follow me. Email's always the best place to do. But if you do follow me and find me out there in the wild, I will, unfortunately, slowly and very slowly, in the same respect that the game does, try and teach you how to play the Digimon game. The card game. The card game. I will sit you down and I will tell you how to play the card game without knowing how to play the card game, and it will take days. It's a weird one. It's a weird
10
one.
years.
Easy 10 years. So if you want to learn at a very slow pace, then by all means follow me. And bring Digimon cards, because I don't have those.
That is a no thank you from me. So please support us on Patreon for exclusive content where you can catch bonus episodes, a brand new show, Critical Cinema, where we follow this exact formula but for movies instead of games. Dave, please enlighten us. What is next week's game going to be?
Yeah, you would give me this game. Like, say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know, I'm not into, scary horror games. You know, I like to live ignorance. I want blissful. I want birds singing in my windows. I want to know the sun's going to come up and go down, you know. But no, next week, it's the Indie 500, which I normally really enjoy because I like indie games. But no, this one is a indie, I guess it's a kind of a cult classic. Everybody knows it. Everybody seems to love it. The Forest. I can't remember what year that came out. 2000.
That was 2014.
Was it 2014?
Yeah, that's 9 years ago.
Now,
2014 was 9 years ago?
Now, strangely enough, this doesn't sound like a scary game. And that bugs me even more, because if this was called, Deadly Death Martians from Mars, I'd be ready to, okay, Martians, death, I got you. No, this is The Forest. I like forests. Forests are nice. Not this one. You have to
cannibals from outer space.
You got to listen next week. This is not a nice forest. You know, this is I don't understand. But yeah, listen next week. We're going to scary.
It's actually a very rude forest.
Rude is the nicest way of describing this forest. It is a very rude forest.
Thanks, Dave. Check us in next week if you want to hear more about the forest. We'll see you then. Cheers.
Cheers.